So in terms of values, again, it's life, it's taking care of our children with homeschooling, and religious liberty. And I want you to know that I stand foursquare on that. But I'm talking also in this campaign about making your life affordable. I mean, the housing crisis in this state is driving up costs for our children and for all of us as well, right? And that's all about corruption as well, because you've got environmental extremist groups that spend money all over Sacramento, and they won't allow any change in environmental laws. So it takes 8 to 10 years to get a housing development approved. And the impact fees that drive up the cost. And then gasoline. I'm the leader of the gas tax repeal. Because that's more corruption. Is it because I don't want roads to be built? Absolutely not. California spends 4 times what Texas does to build a mile of road. Do you want me to repeat that? Did you hear that one? It boggled my mind when I saw it. California spends 4 times what Texas does to build a mile of road. Anybody here from Texas? I mean, have you been to Texas? Nice roads? Great roads. And they spend 1/4 of what we spend. That's corruption. That's mismanagement. And water is the same thing. Water, they keep tearing down reservoirs. They keep, paying outrageous amounts to employees of the water district and pensions. And we don't have water available to us, do we? And we built a desalination plant down in Southern California near where I live. It took twice as long to get it, 3 times as long to get it approved as it should have, and it cost 3 times as much. And that ends up coming out of your pockets. But the cronies and the corrupt in Sacramento don't mind that, right? Because it lines their pockets at our expense, and it makes life extremely expensive and difficult. And I could go on and on. The forest, we live in fear of forest fires because of mismanagement. The school system, I send my daughter to a private school. I'm not going to let them get taught all these other values that aren't my values, right? I'm sure a lot of you don't go to the public schools, but the public schools are incredibly mismanaged. They spend more and more of our tax dollars on these public schools, and the results are like this. We're now 48th in the country in educational attainment. In Los Angeles, last year, they gave out more suspensions than diplomas. Is that a statistic? And guess what? That's in your real estate tax bill. That's coming out of your pocket. Even if you send your children to a private or parochial school or homeschool your children, that is coming out of your pocket and making your life expensive and less quality. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this campaign. But I want to save the best for last. When I'm elected governor, and I will be elected governor, and by the way, I'll tell you why. It's not just because of who I am, but it's also because of who the Democrats are going to put up. They're going to put up a candidate that makes Hillary look like a good candidate. I'm serious about that. This guy that they're going to put up, Mr. Newsom, who will probably be the one to get through, he has got more baggage than Samsonite. He does. He's got a lot of big money. He's a walking, talking special interest. And I'm going to talk about his failure of leadership. When he slept with the wife of his campaign manager. That offends me in a moral point of view, but it's also a failure of leadership because you engage in that kind of risky behavior when you're a leader. When you're a leader, you need to take responsibility. Am I right? And if you subject yourself to the possibility of blackmail or extortion, when you're responsible for making decisions for a lot of people, that's irresponsible leadership. And I'm going to talk about that tonight, by the way, if it comes up. We'll see if it comes up tonight. I might make sure it comes up tonight. And Mr. Villaraigosa isn't any better, let me tell you. No, I always say when I shake hands with him, I count my fingers afterwards. But Mr. Newsom is an example of the Bay Area lease. I know we're in the Bay Area right now, but you're not part of the Bay Area lease. But he's an example of the Bay Area lease. He was put in business and in government by Gordon Getty. And, you know, he was born on third base and thought he hit a triple. My story is a single mom on the south side of Chicago. I worked my way through school. I became a CPA when I was 20 years old. I finished college in 2.5 years. You know why? Because I was paying for it. That's why. My daughters took 5 years. You know why? Because I was paying for it. Yes. But I was happy to. I had success, and I was happy to do that. But my story is really the story of America. It's a kid, single mom, working his way through school, starting his own business, building it up. My business now has assets over $200 million. God's been so good to me. But you know what? I got a news flash for you. I got a news flash in case any of you haven't heard about this. I'm not taking it with me. Although there's the old joke of the kids throwing in a check in the casket. I'm not taking it with me. And I've educated my daughters. I'm going to leave them, you know, a decent amount to help them in the future. But I'm going to use the resources God's bestowed on me for good. I'm going to leave it for good. And you know why? And you know, I thought about this many long months. I've been thinking about doing this for about 6 years. I was Newt Gingrich's finance chair in 2012 in California. And Newt and I talked about this very year because, you know, Jerry Brown had been elected and we didn't think he was going to get toppled in 2014. And we talked about 2018 as an opportunity because we knew Jerry Brown was going to do what he was going to do. And the people would want some change. And I've been thinking about this for a long time. And you know what? I could have given the money I'm spending, the time I'm spending, I could have given it to charity. But think about the damage government does to our future and to the quality of our lives. And I thought if I really want to help people, I could help millions of people if I could just change the direction of government. Does that make sense? And that's now what I'm going to ask all of you to think about, because we need to change the direction of our government. We have been made to care. Am I right? And the people that are, the corrupt people that are in charge of Sacramento to a large extent are reminding us of it every single day. Now, I want to give you some good news. I am going to get elected governor, and then we're going to change the legislature. I've got a reform plan. I'm not going to give you a lot of the details right now, but if you want to look it up, it's called the Neighborhood Legislature. Newt called this idea brilliant. Brilliant. Imagine 12,000 neighborhoods in California. By the way, how many churches are there in California? I think about 12,000. But think about 12,000 neighborhoods where people, real people, they may be church-going, they may not be, but most of them probably will be church-going people, right? Because those are people who are leaders in their communities, right? Imagine 12,000 people getting elected all in each of those neighborhoods around the state. And then they send 120. They send 1% to Sacramento to do our bidding as a legislature, right? But they hold them accountable. They hold them accountable, right? Guess what happens, though? The people with the money changers, are out of the temple. Because you get elected in a neighborhood. If you get elected in a neighborhood, you don't need their money, do you? You walk in your neighborhood and you meet your neighbors. And you talk to them about issues. You talk to them about values. You talk to them about a better community and a better state, and you'll get elected. It won't be about 30-second TV ads or, mass mail. It'll be about personal contact between representatives and their constituents. Isn't that the way our founders wanted our government to operate? Personal contact between a representative and the constituent. Is that gone in our government now? Very few people know who they are, right, or what they stand for. But this idea, I think, could be transformational. And I'm going to give you a charge. We need to get me elected so that I can have the bully pulpit and we can change this legislature and truly take our government back. I need all of you to be disciples. We're called to discipleship in the Lord, right? Well, here we're being called as well to be disciples to take our government back. And that's what I'm asking all of you to do. There's so many people in this state, but you know a lot of people. Each of you has your own circle of friends. We got to get this word out. We've got to expand this beyond this small room. This is the upper room here, right? This is the upper room. And all of us can be disciples to get this message out, and we can win this election. I'm dedicated to getting it done. I'm working 24/7 pretty much to get this done. I hardly slept last night. I want to change this state. I want to change the direction. I want to get the government by the people back. And a government that's truly, truly has values as well as our best interests at heart, and not a small group of special interests. That's what I'm dedicated to doing, and that's why I'm going to be the next governor of this state, and we're going to make California truly, truly great again. Thank you very much.